Hello, this is Bob Gray Sr., and welcome to Ministry Moments. And each of these classes these broadcasts are designed to be able to deal with very practical matters in the ministry. And so I'm starting my 49th year of ministry, and surely I should have learned something after all this time. Well, I thank God for the mentors. I thank God for Dr. Tom Malone, Dr. Curtis Hudson, Dr. Jack Hiles, Dr. Lee Robertson, my good friend Lester Roloff, and so many others I could name. I shouldn't have started there, but with so many names could be added to that. Thank God for them. Thank God for their influence. Those were great men who built great churches, who were great Christians. I knew them personally, and the privilege of preaching for them, with them. They preached for me, and just a marvelous relationship. But so much to be learned yet, even. I would suggest you reread their books. And Berean Publications in Florida is republishing, updating Brother Hiles' books. And so that'll be a blessing. You can go to Berean Publications and find out about that. Well, today on Ministry Moments, I want to talk to you about time management. Time management. No one has any more time than you do. We all have the same. The president has the same as you. You have the same as him. There are 168 hours in the week. And, you know, the Bible, Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God. And then he talks about all these things should be added, his righteousness and all these things should be added. The thought there is not putting God first, but putting God's work first. And if we'll do that in Revelation chapter 2, you lost your first love. What's the answer? Well, God says, get back to your first works. So it's important that we take 168 hours in the week and that we get the most out of it, because you'll never recapture it. You're not going to get it back. So let me give you some thoughts about time management, if I may. Number one, time is an event. Time is not seconds or minutes or hours or days or weeks or months or years. Time is quantified that way. But the truth is, we're going to have to look at it like time is an event. It's not the Sunday school hour. It's Sunday school event. It's not the preaching hour. It's the preaching event. So everything that you miss is an event. Your life is brick upon brick upon brick, and putting one more brick of truth in the wall of life is very important. So everything that your dear mentors have accomplished and have done, they passed it on to you. You've got to pass it on to the next generation. But you've got to make effective your life. So in order to do that, number one, it's important for you to understand time is an event. Number two, put your life on paper. Put your life on paper. Let your schedule be your boss. I've been in ministry for 49 years. I pastored 33 of those years. I let my schedule be my boss. The deacons are not my boss. The church is not my boss. The name Lord means boss. He is my boss. So what do? I take my life, which I have as much as anybody else, but I want to be more effective with it. So I've got to put my life on paper. And when you do that, you see the reality of the events that you're responsible for. You'll be more diligent. So we're talking about time management. Now, if you can picture a warehouse, there's only so much square footage on the floor. You can only get so much in it. And if you can kind of use that as a symbol of your schedule and your time, it's just only so many minutes and so many seconds, so many hours, so many days. So you're going to have to break it down to time being an event. Number two, put your life on paper. Number three, not everything deserves attention. When you waste your time, you're wasting events. Don't waste your time. I remember one time Dr. Evans said to me, there's a file 13. I said, what's that, Dr. Evans? He said, that's the wastebasket. He said, there are some things that'll be thrown in a waste bag. Don't waste your time with it. Your time's too valuable. And he was right. So I would say, number one, time is an event. Number two, put your life on paper. Number three, not everything deserves attention. You're going to have to make up your mind that which deserves your attention. Number four, learn to delegate. Well, I'm thinking of several pastors, good men, great pulpiteers, great teachers, but they can never, ever delegate. They've run through more assistant pastors than Carter's got liver pills. I don't know where the Carter got liver pills thing comes from. That's old school, isn't it? But I'm just saying, you've got to learn to delegate. You've got to learn to be able to assign duties to get done, because you can only spin so many plates and keep them spinning. So I would suggest that you work on the ability to be able to choose the right people for the position. Very important, be very patient with it. But you've got to learn to let them run with it. Now you want to help them to be able to do it. So you want to have meetings with them and so on, but you've got to learn to delegate. You've got to trust. I gave Paul Duckett Jr. our music ministry. I gave it to him. I gave so many other staff members responsibilities, but bus director for the buses. He had over 200 and some odd workers working for him on those bus routes. So you have to learn to delegate. I delegated the maintenance. I delegated the upkeep. I delegated the accounting system. I delegated the Sunday school enlisting to someone. Now, I ran the Sunday school. I learned that from Brother House. I was the superintendent, but I had to have somebody who would go through the list of those who went sowing, those who tithed, and so on and so forth, to select those to be teachers and a part of the Sunday school program. So we're talking about time management. Number one, time is an event. Number two, put your life on paper. Number three, not everything deserves attention. So don't feel like you've got to give everything your attention. Number four, learn to delegate. You'll get more done that way. Number five, if you don't take time, you will waste time. 168 hours in a week. You've got to decide to take some of that 168 hours in that week so that you don't waste time. So you take the time, you give it, it's an event. It's not seconds, not an hour, not 15 minutes. It's an event. Some events may take 15 minutes to deal with, some a half hour, some an hour. You've got to decide. So then if you take time, you will not waste time. Number six, text. You can call somebody and all of a sudden the conversation starts wandering here and wandering there. No, just simply text. Next, write memos and put them in their file. Write memos and put it in their file, so that when you have a meeting with them, you open up the folder, the file, and you look and you see, I've sent 4 memos to this person. And so I want to find out how are we doing with that. We're talking about time management now. Number one, time is an event. Number two, put your life on paper. Number three, not everything deserves attention. Number four, learn to delegate. Number five, if you don't take time, you will waste time. Number six, text. Use the technology and text. Next, write memos and put it in their file. So when you meet with them, you open up the file, you see some things that you've requested of them. Next, have a daily to-do list, and teach all of your leaders to do that, but have a daily to-do list. I have one right here in front of me that I was today, daily to-do list. Now, in some cases, maybe something doesn't get taken care of. Well, put it on top of the list for the next day. But all these years, I've learned that you've got to have a to-do list. You've got to have a list of what events that you've got to care for. All right, we're talking about time management now. Number one, time is an event. Number two, put your life on paper. Number three, not everything deserves attention. Number four, learn to delegate. Number five, if you don't take time, you will waste time. Number six, text. Number seven, write memos and put it in their file. So when you open up their file, you're having your meeting, you're able to see 1, 2, 3, 4. I sent 5 memos in this last week. I'm going to inspect what I expect. Next, have a daily to-do list. Number 9, well, this is really important. Carry 3x5 cards in your pocket. Carry them. I've got them right here. 3x5 cards in my pocket. And when I was pastoring, I'd be walking down the hallway and somebody asked me a question, or I would see something. Well, I would say, wait a minute, I got to check on that. So Friday at 2:00 in my meeting, I'll check on that, put it in my pocket. When I got to the office, the secretary, I say, put this in such a meeting Friday at 2:00. My wife, she said, when a kid asks you something, you better say no, because you may be in a hurry and you don't ever say yes. Don't ever say yes. And that makes sense with working with church members and staff people and so on. But carry 3x5 cards with you. We can write it down, assign a time that you can look into it, and that way you can have all the info that you need to be able to make a decision about that event. So number 1, time is an event. Number 2, put your life on paper. Number 3, not everything deserves attention. Number 4, learn to delegate. Learn to give a part of the ministry to different people to work on. Next, if you don't take time, you will waste time. Number 6, text. Use the technology and text. Next, write memos and put it in their file so that you can rehearse that which you've already sent them. Next, have a daily to-do list. Next, carry 3x5 cards with you and write things down. Next, assign problems a meeting time. Assign problems a meeting time. So if you see something and if you're the pastor, you see everything that's wrong. I mean, you see everything. Well, rather than trying to take care of it right then, use the 3x5 card system and write down and say, the lights are out in such place. Write that down. You notice something wrong with one of the buses, write it down. So something wrong in the auditorium there, write it down. And then assign it a time. But you've got to assign problems a meeting time so that it is cared for. So you can't ignore it. But if you stop and tried to repair everything, take care of everything every time you saw it, you never would get to the end of the hallway. Next, have files for individual and team meetings. Have files for individual and team meetings. So you have a file for the bus director, for the song people, the music people, the song director, and so on, the music coordinator. And so when you meet with them, you have a file. In that file, on the left-hand side, I have stapled there all the duties that I've prescribed for them. Now, at the end of the year, I'm going to revisit that and update it because some will be taken away and some things will be added. On the other side, I have the memos that are there. I have a list from the last meeting of things that they owe me, that I've asked them to do. It's an individual meeting. Then I have at the bottom what I owe them, what I've said to them I will do to help you with this. So I open up the folder. The duties over here. If there's a duty that's going to change, and I need to pencil it down and say, I've got to think about that. Then I look at the memos, and then I look at what I've asked them to do, and I would go through and check it out. Were you able to take care of this? Then I go down the next list and I would see what I offered them, what I said I would do to help them. And then I go through and check that off and make sure, did we get that cared for? Did it finally get taken care of? Next, meet with leaders individually. Meet with leaders individually, not only the team meeting, but the individual meeting. Now, the team meeting is where you do your brainstorming, but you've got to meet with them individually, and you've got to have a file. And you've got to have their duties on the left-hand side stapled there. Brother Duckett Jr., Paul Duckett Jr., what a great Christian, what a great man, just a great Christian. And he was the head of all of our music. Mrs. Petticofer was our music coordinator, but he was in charge of everything. And God bless him. When he went to heaven, well, it was just a great loss. And I got his folder down. It took 3 men to pick up all the things that he did while he was alive. Now that says a lot about him, but also lets you know that you work into these positions where you're able to carry a heavy load. You don't just wake up and carry it, you grow into it. It just one of those things. And we miss him terribly. But boy, was it a shocker when I went through and said, who am I going to delegate this to? And I saw all of the things that he did through the years. And it was amazing, the workload that he carried. And really, in his absence, when he went home to be with the Lord, that's when it became obvious to me all the things that he did. Okay, we're talking about time management now. Time is an event. Put your life on paper and obey it. Not everything deserves attention. You got to learn that file 13, how that works. You got to learn some things you got to get rid of. Learn to delegate. If you don't take time, you will waste time. Text, write memos, put it in their files so it's there, and you can review it when you meet with them. Have a daily to-do list. Teach your staff to have a daily to-do list. Carry 3x5 cards with you. Write things down on those cards. Accept assign problems a meeting time. So I'm walking down the hallway and I see a problem, I write it down. When I get into office, I'll say, put this in such and such a person's file. That way it's off my mind, but yet it's not off the table. Next, have files for individuals and team meetings. So you want to have files for each time you meet with someone, but also when you have a meeting. I had a secretary who took notes at those brainstorming sessions, I call them, when we got the people together and had those team meetings. But the leader meeting is very important too, of, again, knowing their duties, staple on the left-hand side. Also what I've asked of them and what I'm asking of myself to be able to help them. Well, I hope this helped you. It's very important. You've got the time, you can't waste it. And you've got to understand time is an event. These events in your life are so important. So much so that maybe you need to take time to understand time management. Well, God bless you. Thank you for being here. Now, Saturday soul winning. You make sure you get out, go soul winning, win people to Christ, get them to church. And church starts at Sunday school, by the way. So God bless you. Thank you for being a part of this ministry moment on time management, and have a great weekend.